Hello there, and welcome to another journey through one of the world's most fascinating places. Before we begin, I'm curious, where are you watching from right now? What time is it in your corner of the world? Perhaps you're settling in for the night, or maybe you're taking a quiet moment during your day. Wherever you are, whatever the hour, you're welcome here. Tonight, we're exploring Dubai, a city that rose from desert sands to touch the clouds themselves. As you settle into comfort, let these stories wash over you. There's no need to remember every detail. Just let your mind wander through golden dunes, glittering towers, and the endless blue of the Arabian Gulf. If your eyes grow heavy, that's perfectly natural. Let yourself drift wherever feels right. Right now, as you read these words, something remarkable is happening high above the Arabian desert. Dubai International Airport has just claimed a title that seemed impossible mere decades ago. In early January 2026, the airport processed more than 324,000 passengers in a single day, setting a new record not just for Dubai, but for any airport in human history. The following day, another 322,000 travelers passed through its terminals. These aren't just numbers on a screen. They represent families reuniting, business ventures beginning, adventures starting, dreams taking flight. The airport has officially surpassed Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson as the world's busiest hub by seat capacity, handling 5.5 million seats in January 2026 alone. This shift marks something deeper than mere statistics. For generations, global air travel centered on Western cities, on the traditional powers that shaped the 20th century. Now, Dubai sits at a new crossroads, a 21st century meeting point between East and West, connecting continents that once seemed impossibly distant from one another. Walk through Terminal 3 today, and you'll encounter something called the red carpet service. It sounds luxurious, and in a way, it is, though not in the way you might imagine. This biometric system allows passengers to complete entire departure procedures without showing passports, without presenting boarding passes, without even standing still. Your face becomes your ticket, your identity confirmed in seconds through technology that reads the unique patterns of your features. The system, which began in business class, expanded to arrivals in January 2026, transforming the airport experience into something approaching science fiction. But technology alone doesn't explain Dubai's aviation dominance. The city understood something fundamental about geography. Positioned roughly halfway between Europe and Asia, between Africa and the Indian subcontinent, Dubai occupies one of the planet's natural gathering points. Ancient traders knew this centuries ago, their dhows cutting through Gulf waters along routes that modern jets now follow overhead. Emirates Airline, founded in 1985 with just 2 aircraft, has grown into one of the world's largest carriers, precisely because it recognized this geographical advantage. The airline doesn't just connect people to Dubai, it connects the world to itself, with Dubai as the pivot point, the place where journeys intersect. Long before skyscrapers pierced the clouds, long before oil brought sudden wealth. This land cradled human life in ways archaeologists are only now beginning to understand. Archaeological excavations beneath Dubai's modern streets reveal layers of history stretching back 7 millennia. Evidence suggests that around 7000 BCE, when much of Europe still experienced Ice Age conditions, people lived along what is now Sheikh Zayed Road. They left behind organic materials preserved in an ancient mangrove swamp, silent witnesses to lives lived when the world was young. Based on these findings, researchers have reconstructed what the landscape might have looked like. Where desert now dominates, wetlands once flourished. Mangrove roots twisted through brackish water. Birds called from hidden nests. Early humans moved through this environment with practiced ease, understanding its rhythms, its offerings, its dangers. The archaeological evidence suggests they were not merely surviving, but thriving, developing complex social structures, trading with distant communities, and adapting to environmental changes that would have defeated less resilient peoples. By 3000 BCE, the climate had shifted dramatically. Coastlines receded as seas fell. Sands advanced where water once flowed. But again, humans adapted. They cultivated date palms, those remarkable trees that provide food, shelter, shade, and building materials from a single trunk. They herded cattle through lands that were becoming increasingly arid, moving with the seasons, following water and grass. The site of Saruq al-Hadid, located about 70 kilometers south of modern Dubai in the Rub al-Khali Desert, offers remarkable insights into these ancient peoples. Archaeological evidence indicates this wasn't just a settlement, but appears to have been a metallurgical center, an Iron Age industrial site dating to around 2000 BCE. Workers here smelted metal, crafted tools and weapons, and engaged in sophisticated manufacturing processes. Analysis of artifacts found at the site reveals extensive trading connections with Egypt, with Mesopotamia, with Dilmun in what is now Bahrain. Among the discoveries are seals from Pharaoh Thutmose III's 18th dynasty, pottery influenced by multiple civilizations, all pointing to commercial networks that spanned thousands of miles. The evidence suggests these weren't isolated desert dwellers. They were participants in a vast web of human connection, moving goods and ideas across distances that would challenge modern travelers, even with our advanced technology. When you look at Dubai today, at its role as a global hub, historical patterns indicate you're seeing not an aberration, but a continuation. This land, it seems, has always been a crossroads. In the desert, water is life itself. Fresh water, not the salt brine of the sea, determines where people can settle, where communities can grow, where civilization can take root. For centuries, the Bani Yas Tribal Confederation made their home in the Liwa Oasis, inland from the coast, where wells provided the precious resource that made existence possible. The oasis became their historic heartland, a place of palm groves and permanent settlements amidst the vast emptiness of Al-Dhafra. Then, according to historical accounts, in 1761, something changed for Abu Dhabi. Tribesmen discovered fresh water on a coastal island. This find led the Bani Yas, under the leadership of Sheikh Shakbat bin Diab bin Isa Al Nahyan, to begin establishing a settlement on what would become Abu Dhabi. But for Dubai, another waterway would prove to be the key to its future. Dubai Creek cuts inland for 9 miles, a natural saltwater inlet that forms a protected harbor. The creek ranges from 200 to 1,200 meters wide, with depths averaging 6.5 to 7 meters. These dimensions might seem unremarkable until you understand what they meant for maritime trade. The creek provided shelter from Gulf storms, protection from the seasonal Shamal winds that blow down from Iraq, and a natural port where dhows could anchor safely. In a region where such natural harbors were scarce, the creek was worth more than gold. The Al-Bu Falasa branch of the Bani Yas settled along the creek's shores in the early 19th century. They built homes from coral stone and palm fronds, structures designed to breathe in the intense heat, to channel whatever breeze might stir. The creek became the center of their world. Men launched from its waters on pearl diving expeditions, descending into the Gulf's depths without breathing apparatus, holding their breath for minutes at a time while searching for the luminous gems that would drive the region's economy for generations. Historical records indicate that in 1833, following tribal disputes within Abu Dhabi, approximately 800 members of the Bani Yas tribe migrated to Dubai. The migration was led by Obaid bin Said and Maktoum bin Buti, who initially became joint leaders of the settlement. When Obaid died in 1836, Maktoum bin Buti established what became the Al Maktoum dynasty, which has ruled Dubai continuously from that day to this. This marked Dubai's emergence as a distinct political entity, separate from Abu Dhabi, though still connected by tribal and family bonds. The creek divided the growing town into two main sections. On the northern bank, Deira developed into a commercial center, its souk filled with spices, gold, textiles, and goods from distant lands. On the southern bank, Dubai became the traditional heart, where the ruling family maintained their residence and where the old fort still stands. Abres, small wooden boats, ferried people back and forth across the water, creating a constant flow of movement, commerce, human connection. Imagine descending into darkness with only the air in your lungs. No oxygen tanks, no modern equipment, just your body and your courage. Pearl divers lived this reality for months each year, from May to September, when the Gulf waters warmed enough for sustained diving. They would go down 40, 50, even 60 feet, searching the seabed for oysters that might contain the treasures their families depended upon. According to historical accounts, the Venetian merchant Gasparo Balbi visited the region in 1590 and wrote of the area's pearls with unmistakable admiration. He included Dubai in his list of places known for exceptional pearl quality, a reputation that would endure for centuries. These weren't cultivated pearls, artificially induced by human intervention. These were natural formations, created over years as oysters coated irritants with layer upon layer of lustrous nacre. Each pearl was unique, its shape and color determined by chance, by the specific conditions of its creation. By the early 1900s, Dubai's economy revolved almost entirely around pearling. Historical estimates suggest the 1920s marked the industry's golden age, when the annual trade reached a value of approximately 3 million British pounds, an enormous sum for that era. Entire fleets of dhows would depart Dubai Creek, hundreds of boats carrying thousands of men out into the Gulf. They would remain at sea for months, living in cramped conditions, diving repeatedly each day, sorting through mountains of oysters for the rare specimens that contained marketable pearls. The work was brutal. Divers developed hearing problems from the pressure. They suffered from sun exposure, from inadequate food, from the physical toll of repeated compression and decompression. Many accumulated debts to merchants who financed their equipment and supplies, creating cycles of obligation that could trap families for generations. Yet pearling also created wealth, built communities, funded the construction of wind tower houses that still stand in Al Fahidi Historic District. Then came the collapse. The Great Depression devastated luxury markets worldwide. Suddenly, wealthy buyers in London, Paris, and New York could no longer afford expensive natural pearls. Simultaneously, Japanese researchers perfected the cultivation of artificial pearls, flooding markets with cheaper alternatives that looked nearly identical to the genuine article. Historical records indicate that by the 1940s, Dubai's pearl industry had plummeted to a value of approximately £250,000. According to local accounts, the last pearling fleet left Dubai Creek in 1949, closing a chapter that had defined the region for centuries. The industry's fall brought genuine hardship. Families who had known relative prosperity found themselves in poverty. Young men who expected to follow their fathers into diving had to seek new occupations, new ways of supporting their households. The entire social and economic structure of Dubai faced existential crisis. The city needed to transform, to find new sources of wealth and purpose. That transformation would come, though from an unexpected source. If you're finding these stories interesting, I'd truly appreciate it if you could take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps others discover these relaxing journeys through history and places around our world. Now let's continue with how Dubai built the foundations for its remarkable transformation. The relationship between Dubai and the British had already been formalized before 1892. In 1820, Dubai, along with other Trucial states, had signed the General Maritime Treaty with the British government, following a British naval campaign against piracy in the region. This was followed by the Perpetual Maritime Truce of 1853, and in 1892, a more comprehensive agreement was signed. Sheikh Maktoum agreed to an exclusive treaty with the British government, making Dubai a British protectorate. The deal exchanged certain autonomy for protection. Dubai could not dispose of territory except to the British, could not enter relationships with foreign governments without British consent. In return, Britain would defend the emirate from external aggression. This arrangement formalized relationships that had been developing for decades as British power expanded throughout the Gulf region. 2 years later, in 1894, Sheikh Maktoum made a decision that would prove even more significant. He granted full tax exemption for all foreign traders. No customs duties, no restrictions, no bureaucratic barriers. Merchants from Persia, India, East Africa, and the Arabian Peninsula flocked to Dubai's port. Goods flowed in and out with remarkable freedom. By 1903, the Sheikh had convinced a major British steamship line to make Dubai a regular port of call, connecting the city to global shipping networks. This era saw another crucial development. Merchants from Linga, a Persian port across the Gulf, began relocating to Dubai in significant numbers. They brought capital, trading connections, commercial expertise. They established themselves in an area they named Bastakia, after the Bastak region in southern Persia. These traders became integral to Dubai's commercial life, intermarrying with Arab families, building the distinctive wind tower houses that channeled cooling breezes into rooms below Dot. By the early 20th century, nearly a quarter of Dubai's population was of non-Emirati origin. This cosmopolitan character, this openness to outsiders who brought useful skills and capital, would become one of Dubai's defining characteristics. The city didn't just tolerate diversity, it embraced it, understanding that prosperity required connection to wider networks. That insularity meant stagnation. Sheikh Said bin Maktoum bin Hashir al Maktoum, who became ruler in 1912, presided over this period of growth. He's remembered as one of Dubai's founding fathers, a ruler who maintained the city's commercial culture, even as pearl industry profits soared in the 1920s. His reign saw construction boom, population expand, the city's reputation solidify as the Lower Gulf's premier trading center. The Dubai Creek, meanwhile, remained central to all this activity. In the 1950s, Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed Al Maktoum recognized that the creek needed modernization. Larger vessels were arriving, carrying more cargo, requiring deeper waters. In 1955, plans were drawn up for extensive dredging, for building breakwaters, for developing beaches into proper quays suitable for loading and unloading. The creek was first dredged in 1961 to permit 7-foot draft vessels. Additional dredging in the 1960s and 1970s allowed ships up to 500 tons to anchor. These improvements gave Dubai crucial advantages over nearby Sharjah, the other dominant trading center in the region. Construction began in January 2004 on a project whose final dimensions remained secret even as work progressed. The developers, Emaar Properties, refused to reveal how tall the building would ultimately stand. Speculation ran wild. Competing projects in other cities watched nervously, wondering if their own towers might be surpassed before completion. Meanwhile, in Dubai, a massive workforce assembled from across the globe. At peak construction, more than 12,000 people worked on site each day. The challenges were unprecedented. Wind forces at extreme heights follow different rules than near ground level. Sway becomes a critical factor. A tall building in Dubai faces Shamal winds from the north, sea breezes from the Gulf, temperature differentials that create powerful updrafts. The design team at Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, led by architect Adrian Smith, developed a Y-shaped floor plan that would confuse wind currents. The building steps back in a spiraling pattern, changing width at different levels. Wind vortices never get a chance to organize and amplify. They encounter a new building shape at each tier, breaking up before they can build destructive force. The foundation alone required extraordinary measures. A reinforced concrete mat nearly 13 feet thick, itself supported by concrete piles 5 feet in diameter, driven deep into the ground. This massive foundation had to bear unimaginable weight while distributing it evenly across the underlying geology. Any settling, any shift, could prove catastrophic for a structure of such extreme height. The primary structure consists of reinforced concrete rather than steel, an unusual choice for a building of this scale. The decision made economic sense given material costs and local construction expertise, but it also created unique challenges. Concrete pumps had to deliver material to record heights. In May 2008, Putzmeister pumps pushed concrete to the 156th floor, 606 meters above ground, setting a world record. The concrete itself had to withstand tremendous compressive forces while also dealing with Dubai's extreme heat, which can reach 50 degrees Celsius in summer dock construction, used 330,000 cubic meters of concrete and 55,000 tons of steel rebar. The effort consumed 22 million man-hours, equivalent to one person working for over 2,500 years. 3 tower cranes, each capable of lifting 25-ton loads, handled construction of the uppermost levels. Above the 156th floor, lighter steel construction took over, culminating in the spire that gives the building its final soaring profile. That spire deserves special mention. It's not merely decorative. The spire reaches more than 700 feet into the sky, a stainless steel structure weighing 350 tons. It couldn't be lifted into place from below. Instead, it was assembled in sections within the building itself, then jacked upward using hydraulic pumps, a technique reminiscent of how the Chrysler Building spire was erected in 1929, though at vastly greater scale. On October 1, 2009, the exterior was completed. On January 4, 2010, the building officially opened, though interior work continued for months afterward. The opening ceremony revealed what had been closely guarded throughout construction. The building stood 828 meters tall, with 163 floors above ground. It was, and remains, the tallest structure humans have ever built. More than twice the height of the Empire State Building. Almost 3 times the size of the Eiffel Tower. The building was originally known as Burj Dubai, but at the opening ceremony, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum announced a name change. It would be called Burj Khalifa, honoring Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the ruler of Abu Dhabi, who had provided crucial financial support when global economic crisis threatened the project's completion. The gesture reflected the deep bonds between Dubai and Abu Dhabi, emirates that compete and cooperate in equal measure. Today, Burj Khalifa houses over 900 residential units, corporate offices, the Armani Hotel, restaurants including at Datmosphere on the 122nd floor, the highest restaurant in the world. Observation decks on the 124th and 148th floors draw millions of visitors annually, people who want to see Dubai from a perspective only this building can offer. The tower has become more than architecture. It's a symbol of human ambition, of what becomes possible when vision combines with engineering skill and sheer determination. In 2001, another impossible project began. This time, the challenge wasn't height, but creation itself. Dubai's coastline stretched roughly 70 kilometers, a respectable length but insufficient for the luxury beachfront development Sheikh Mohammed envisioned. The solution was audacious. If nature hadn't provided enough coastline, Dubai would create its own. The design took the shape of a date palm, that tree which has symbolized life in the Arabian desert for millennia. The palm would have a trunk connecting to the mainland, 17 fronds extending outward, and a crescent-shaped breakwater encircling the entire structure. The design wasn't chosen merely for aesthetics. The palm shape maximized coastline while creating protected waters between the fronds. It was functional geometry disguised as natural tribute. Construction required materials and quantities that defy easy comprehension. According to project records, approximately 94 million cubic meters of sand were dredged from the Persian Gulf floor. Not just any sand, mind you. Desert sand was too fine, too prone to washing away. The sand had to come from specific locations offshore where grain size and composition would hold together when shaped and compacted. Specialized ships worked 24 hours daily for over 3 years, moving enough material to fill tens of thousands of Olympic swimming pools. 7 million tons of rock were quarried from the Hayar Mountains in the UAE's northern reaches. These rocks formed the Crescent Breakwater, a massive structure protecting the artificial island from Gulf storms and the seasonal Shamal winds. The breakwater consists of 3 layers. First, a geotextile membrane prevents sand from washing away. On top of this, a layer of 1-ton rocks. Then 2 more layers of progressively larger rocks, the uppermost weighing up to 6 tons each. The crescent stretches 11 kilometers end to end, broken by openings on each side to allow water circulation and prevent stagnation. The precision required staggers imagination. GPS technology guided every aspect of construction, ensuring the palm shape emerged accurately from beneath the waves. The trunk had to be exactly 2 kilometers long and 300 meters wide. The 17 fronds had to extend at precise angles, creating tens of kilometers of new coastline. Any error in positioning would throw off the entire design, potentially affecting water flow, sand stability, structural integrity. Vibrocompaction technology prepared the 560 hectares of reclaimed land for building. The process involves using heavy vibrating probes to compact loose sand, transforming it into solid ground capable of supporting roads, utilities, houses, hotels. The finished island covers an area equivalent to 600 football pitches, 4 times the size of London's Hyde Park. From space, astronauts can easily identify the palm's distinctive shape, a human mark on the planet visible from orbit. A 6-lane tunnel connects the trunk to the crescent, running 25 meters below sea level. Building this tunnel required constructing 2 1.2-kilometer-long temporary dikes to form a dam, then pumping out 5.5 million cubic meters of seawater in just 45 days. Workers caught and relocated around 2,000 fish to prevent them from being trapped in the drained space. A small mercy in a project of vast environmental impact. The first residents moved in during 2007. By 2009, 28 hotels had opened on the Crescent, including Atlantis the Palm, the signature resort that has become synonymous with the island itself. Current estimates suggest that approximately 80,000 people call Palm Jumeirah home, living in more than 10,000 residential units spread across the trunk and fronds. The island isn't just a tourist attraction. It's a functioning community with schools, clinics, shops, restaurants, all the infrastructure that makes human habitation possible. The project's financial scale was equally impressive. Estimates suggest construction cost approximately $12 billion. Real estate transactions on the island have reportedly exceeded $50 billion over the years since its completion. These figures represent more than economic activity. They represent a fundamental reimagining of what humans can create when unconstrained by conventional thinking. Palm Jumeirah proved that entire islands could be manufactured, that coastlines could be extended, that geography itself could be redesigned to human specifications. On November 4, 2008, another record-breaking project opened its doors. The Dubai Mall wasn't just large. It redefined the entire concept of what a shopping mall could be. With over 1,200 stores spread across multiple levels, it became one of the largest shopping centers on Earth. A temple of commerce where retail merged seamlessly with entertainment. Dining, culture, and spectacle. The numbers themselves tell only part of the story. The mall covers 5.4 million square feet of space. It includes 2 anchor department stores, Galeries Lafayette and Bloomingdale's, neither of which existed in the Middle East before. Fashion Avenue houses over 150 luxury brands in dedicated space designed to evoke European boulevards. Complete with its own VIP services including personal shoppers, chauffeur service within the mall, and shop and drop delivery that lets customers continue shopping unburdened by bags. But Dubai Mall was never intended to be merely about shopping. The developers understood that modern consumers seek experiences, not just transactions. This philosophy manifests throughout the complex. Dubai Aquarium and Underwater Zoo occupies a massive space on the ground floor. Its 10 million liter tank, visible through a viewing panel that stretches 51 meters wide and 20 meters high. Over 33,000 aquatic animals live in this artificial ocean, including more than 400 sharks and rays. Walking through the aquarium's 48-meter-long tunnel provides a 270-degree view of marine life swimming overhead and around you. The effect creates an otherworldly sensation, as if you've descended beneath the waves while remaining completely dry. Children press their faces to the acrylic walls, watching sand tiger sharks glide past, manta rays undulating through the water, schools of fish moving in coordinated patterns that seem almost choreographed. An Olympic-sized ice rink occupies another section of the mall. In a country where temperatures regularly exceed 40 degrees Celsius, the ability to ice skate feels particularly surreal. The rink hosts everything from public skating sessions to hockey games for the Emirates Ice Hockey League. Parents watch their children wobble across the ice, while outside, the desert sun beats down mercilessly. The mall contains 22 cinema screens operated by Real Cinemas, featuring the latest blockbusters alongside independent films and regional productions. VR Park offers virtual reality and augmented reality experiences, a 76,000 square foot space filled with motion simulators, gaming stations, and interactive attractions. Kidzania provides an entire miniature city where children can role-play adult professions, earning and spending currency, learning about work and economics through play. Over 200 food outlets cater to every conceivable taste and budget. You can find traditional Emirati cuisine, American fast food, Japanese sushi, Italian pasta, Indian curry, Chinese dim sum, Mexican tacos, Lebanese meze, French pastries. The food court on the upper level offers casual dining with views of the Dubai Fountain. The lower level's Souk Al Bahar provides waterfront dining with direct views of Burj Khalifa. Speaking of the fountain, step outside the mall after dark and you'll witness something magical. The Dubai Fountain, designed by the same team that created the Bellagio's fountains in Las Vegas, shoots water as high as 150 meters into the air. The fountain's jets are choreographed to music, from classical Arabic pieces to contemporary pop hits. Shows run every 30 minutes, drawing crowds who stand mesmerized as water dances against the night sky. Illuminated by 6,600 lights and 50 colored projectors. In 2023, Dubai Mall received 105 million visitors, a 19% increase from the previous year's 88 million. To put that in perspective, the mall attracted more visitors than entire countries. It welcomed more people than visited New York City, more than traveled to Paris, more than toured London. The mall has become a destination unto itself, a place people visit not because they need to buy anything particular, but because they want to experience the scale, the spectacle, the sheer sensory overload of it all. The parking facility alone contains over 14,000 spaces across 3 car parks. A car locator system helps visitors remember where they parked, a necessity in a facility this vast. Valet service is available for those who prefer not to search for spots. The mall employs thousands of people from dozens of countries, creating its own multicultural micro-society within the larger, cosmopolitan context of Dubai itself. I hope you're enjoying this peaceful journey through Dubai's story. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing so you won't miss future explorations of fascinating places and their histories. Your support means everything. Now, let's travel back in time to discover what changed everything for this desert city. The story of oil and what would become the UAE begins with Abu Dhabi. In 1958, surveyors discovered substantial oil reserves beneath the seabed of Abu Dhabi in an area called Shaif. 2 years later, in 1960, another discovery in the desert interior at Murban confirmed the extent of Abu Dhabi's petroleum wealth. In 1962, the first cargo of crude oil was exported from Jabal Dana in the Emirate of Abu Dhabi, marking the beginning of the region's oil era. Dubai's oil story came later. On June 6, 1966, the Dubai Petroleum Company struck crude oil at the offshore Fateh field, located approximately 60 miles from Dubai's coast, at a depth of 7,600 feet below sea level. The name Fateh means good fortune in Arabic, and fortune it proved to be, though not on the scale of Abu Dhabi's reserves. The timing proved significant. The pearl industry had collapsed. Traditional sources of income had dried up. The region faced genuine hardship, uncertain about its future. Oil arrived like an answer to prayers, though for Dubai, it would prove a more modest blessing than for its neighbor. Dubai wouldn't export its first shipment of oil until September 22, 1969, when 180,000 barrels arrived at refineries in the United Kingdom. By then, Abu Dhabi had been exporting for 7 years, accumulating wealth that would shape the balance of power in the region. Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, who became ruler of Abu Dhabi in August 1966, immediately grasped both the opportunity and the danger of oil wealth. Oil could bring prosperity, but it could also bring dependency. Wealth without wisdom leads to waste. Riches today mean nothing if they prevent building for tomorrow. His counterpart in Dubai, Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed Al Maktoum, who had become ruler in 1958, understood this even more acutely. Dubai had less oil than Abu Dhabi, which ironically proved advantageous. The emirate couldn't rely on petroleum revenue to solve all problems. It had to diversify, to develop other industries, to maintain its trading traditions, even as oil money transformed the region. This necessity drove innovation. Dubai invested in infrastructure earlier and more aggressively than many oil-rich neighbors. The expansion of Dubai Creek in 1959 predated the oil boom. The construction of Port Rashid in the 1970s positioned Dubai for containerized shipping before many ports understood how fundamentally containers would revolutionize maritime trade. Establishment of Jebel Ali Port in 1979 represented even more ambitious thinking. The port was designed to be the largest man-made harbor in the world, with capacity far exceeding what Dubai's current trade volume required. The vision was to build for a future that didn't yet exist, to create capacity that would attract business rather than simply responding to existing demand. Around Jebel Ali, free zones offered foreign companies 100% ownership. duty-free import and export, no taxation. These incentives transformed Dubai into a regional logistics hub, a place where goods from anywhere could be stored, processed, re-exported to anywhere else. Dubai International Airport opened in 1960 when the facility handled a few thousand passengers annually, grew exponentially. By the 1980s, it had become the Gulf's busiest airport. Emirates Airline, founded in 1985 with 2 leased aircraft, pursued an aggressive expansion strategy, connecting Dubai to global destinations with modern wide-body jets. The airline wasn't just transportation. It was marketing, putting Dubai on the mental map of travelers worldwide. Oil money funded these developments, but oil never defined Dubai the way it defined some neighbors. When petroleum prices crashed in the 1980s, Dubai felt the pain but didn't collapse. Its diversified economy provided resilience. Trade, tourism, real estate, services, and finance all contributed to growth. This diversification became deliberate policy, a recognition that oil was temporary, but Dubai needed to be permanent. December 2, 1971, marked another transformation. 6 Emirates, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Sharjah, Ajman, Fujairah, and Al Quwain, joined together to form the United Arab Emirates. Ras Al Khaimah joined several months later in 1972, completing the union of 7 Emirates that had been known as the Trucial States under British protection. Britain had announced in 1968 its intention to withdraw from the Gulf by the end of 1971, forcing the Emirates to decide their future. Would they remain separate, vulnerable to larger neighbors? Would they seek other protectors? Or would they unite? Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan of Abu Dhabi became the driving force behind union. He understood that individually, the Emirates were weak. Together, they could be significant, a nation with resources, territory, and population sufficient to maintain independence in a dangerous neighborhood. The negotiations were complex. Dubai, with its established commercial culture, worried about losing autonomy to Abu Dhabi's oil wealth. Smaller Emirates feared domination by their larger neighbors. Somehow, compromises were reached. A federal structure was designed that balanced collective strength with individual identity. Sheikh Zayed became the UAE's first president, a position he would hold until his death in 2004. His counterpart, Sheikh Rashid bin Zayed Al Maktoum of Dubai, became vice president and prime minister. This partnership between the UAE's 2 largest Emirates set the tone for cooperation that would define the federation. Abu Dhabi provided oil wealth and strategic depth. Dubai provided commercial expertise and international connections. The relationship wasn't always smooth. Competition between the Emirates sometimes became intense, but the fundamental commitment to unity held. The 1970s and 1980s saw rapid development. Oil revenues funded infrastructure across all 7 Emirates. Roads, schools, hospitals, universities, airports, seaports appeared where nothing had existed before. The government invested heavily in education, sending thousands of Emiratis abroad for university training while building domestic institutions. Literacy rates soared. Healthcare improved dramatically. Maternal mortality dropped. Infant mortality plummeted. Life expectancy increased by decades. The improvements were measurable, undeniable, transforming quality of life for citizens in a single generation. Dubai continued its development with characteristic ambition. Sheikh Rashid presided over massive projects, always building for scale beyond current need. When asked why Dubai needed such large port facilities, such extensive airport capacity, such ambitious development plans, he would reference the generations. My grandfather rode a camel. My father rode a camel. I drive a Mercedes. My son drives a Land Rover. His son will drive a Land Rover, but his son will ride a camel. The quote became famous, encapsulating both pride in rapid development and awareness that nothing is permanent. That oil would eventually run out, that Dubai needed foundations beyond petroleum. His son, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, who became ruler of Dubai in 2006, inherited and expanded this vision. His Vision 2021 strategic plan outlined goals for transforming the UAE into one of the world's leading nations by the country's 50th anniversary. The vision encompassed economic diversification, social development, excellent public services, sustainable environment, all bound together by strong national identity. Some goals were achieved, others proved elusive. But the vision itself mattered, providing direction, channeling the energy and resources of a small country with oversized ambitions. Right now, in these early days of 2026, Dubai stands at another threshold. On January 1st, the city implemented its third and final phase of single-use plastic bans. Plastic plates, food containers, tableware, and beverage cups with plastic lids are now prohibited across the emirate. The nationwide UAE ban goes further, prohibiting import, manufacture, and trade of selected single-use products. These measures reflect environmental awareness that would have seemed impossible in the oil boom years. Recognition that prosperity means nothing if it destroys the planet that sustains us. The sugar tax system, also launched January 1st, replaces the previous flat 50% tax with tiered rates based on actual sugar content. Drinks with more sugar face higher taxes. The system encourages healthier choices while giving manufacturers incentive to reformulate products. It's a nudge rather than a ban. Government using market mechanisms to promote public health without eliminating freedom of choice. Perhaps most excitingly, Dubai's electric air taxi project will begin operation sometime in 2026. The concept seems lifted from science fiction. Aircraft carrying 4 passengers and a pilot at speeds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour, covering distances over 200 kilometers, potentially cutting inter-emirate travel times to under 30 minutes. The first vertiport is under construction at Dubai International Airport, with additional facilities planned near Palm Jumeirah and Dubai Mall. Imagine bypassing traffic entirely, lifting vertically into the air, crossing the city in minutes rather than hours stuck in congestion. The technology exists. The infrastructure is being built. The future is arriving ahead of schedule. 2026 is officially the year of the family in the UAE, part of an ongoing tradition where each year follows a theme that informs policy decisions, initiatives, and projects. Previous years have focused on tolerance, sustainability, Zayed, and preparation for the next 50 years. The family focus reflects Emirati cultural values, emphasis on social cohesion, recognition that development means nothing if families don't thrive. The red carpet biometric system continues expanding, promising to make airport experiences increasingly seamless. Once enrolled, passengers can move through Dubai International using smart gates and corridors, their faces serving as passports, their identity confirmed in seconds. The technology raises privacy questions that society is only beginning to grapple with. But it undeniably represents the direction of travel, the future of how we'll move through the world. Looking further ahead, the Dubai Creek Tower remains on the horizon, a proposed structure that would surpass even Burj Khalifa in height. The project has faced delays, its timeline uncertain, but the ambition persists. Dubai isn't finished building. It may never be finished, its landscape in perpetual motion, always reaching for something higher, grander, more audacious. The Etihad Rail project promises to connect all 7 Emirates by train, dramatically reducing travel times between major cities. When complete, you'll be able to board in Dubai and arrive in Abu Dhabi in perhaps 50 minutes. traveling at speeds up to 200 kilometers per hour through landscapes that shift from coastal developments to desert interior. The project has been delayed multiple times, but construction continues. Rails extending through empty spaces that will become corridors of connection. Global Village. That annual carnival that transforms swaths of Dubai into a cultural and commercial extravaganza continues drawing millions of visitors. Over 90 pavilions representing countries from around the world offer food, crafts, performances, and products. It's globalization as theme park, a place where you can sample Pakistani cuisine, buy Turkish lamps, watch Russian acrobatics, and listen to African music all in a single evening. The kitsch factor is undeniable, but so is the genuine celebration of human diversity, the delight of encountering cultures different from your own. As you drift toward sleep, perhaps some images linger. A dhow with its triangular sail silhouetted against sunset. The Burj Khalifa piercing clouds. The curve of Palm Jumeirah seen from space. The sparkle of Dubai fountain against night sky. These images tell a story about human ambition, about transformation, about what becomes possible when vision combines with resources and will. But there's another story here, quieter, perhaps more important. It's the story of how people from everywhere have gathered in this place, drawn by opportunity, by safety, by the promise that their children might have better lives than they did. Dubai's population is 90% expatriate, people from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Philippines, Egypt, Iran, Britain, America, everywhere really. They've come to work in construction, to serve in hotels, to teach in schools, to practice law, to trade goods, to program computers, to deliver food, to clean offices, to perform surgery, to everything. They've brought their languages, their cuisines, their faiths, their traditions. Dubai absorbs it all, becoming something unique, neither Eastern nor Western, but some hybrid form that belongs to the 21st century. Walking through Karama, you might hear Hindi, Tagalog, Malayalam, Arabic, and English in the span of a single block. The gold souk sells jewelry to Muslim women wearing abayas and Hindu brides preparing for weddings. The grocery stores stock dates and curry powder and kimchi and tortillas. It's messy and imperfect and sometimes uncomfortable, but it's also vibrant, alive with possibility. The city has problems, of course. The wealth gap between citizens and laborers is staggering. Workers' rights remain inadequate. The kafala sponsorship system, though reformed, still gives employers troubling power over employees. Gender equality has improved but remains incomplete. Political freedom is limited. Dissent is constrained. The environmental costs of massive construction and constant air conditioning are enormous. Dubai's carbon footprint per capita ranks among the world's highest, yet something remarkable has emerged here. A city of 3 million people from everywhere, functioning with relatively little violent conflict. In a region that's seen terrible sectarian violence, Dubai remains comparatively peaceful. In a world where nationalism and xenophobia are resurgent, Dubai demonstrates that diversity can work. The city isn't utopia, but it's proof that humans from radically different backgrounds can coexist, can build together, can create something that wasn't possible for any group alone. The story of Dubai is ultimately a human story. It's about the Bani Yas tribesmen who found fresh water on an island, about the pearl divers who descended into darkness, about the merchants who took risks in unfamiliar markets, about Sheikh Rashid who built ports before trade existed to fill them, about Sheikh Mohammed who imagined islands where only water flowed, about the workers who made those visions concrete, who laid the rebar and poured the concrete and installed the glass and planted the palms. It's about everyone who came here, seeking something better, and helped create the thing they sought. Dubai is less a place than a process, an ongoing experiment in what humans can accomplish when they refuse to accept that things must remain as they've always been. The desert doesn't determine destiny. The past doesn't bind the future. Limits are temporary. Impossible is just what hasn't been done yet. That might be the lesson to carry into sleep. That transformation is always possible. That you can take sand and rock and will and create something unprecedented. That the barriers we accept as permanent are often more fragile than we imagine. Dubai, in its excesses and its ambitions, reminds us that the world is still being made, that there's room for audacity, that tomorrow might be more remarkable than we dare hope. So rest now, with images of glittering towers and rolling dunes, of ancient dhows and flying taxis, of where we've been and where we might be going. Let Dubai's story weave into your dreams. A reminder that humans have always reached for something beyond themselves. Always built and imagined and transformed. Always refused to accept that this is all there is. Sleep well. Dream big. Tomorrow is always being born.